Hello everyone and welcome to Werven's World. Today I would like to give 5 tips for new players of Star Ruler 2. So Star Ruler 2 is a space science fiction 4X game. It's very interesting. It's definitely very different from any other 4X game I've ever played because of its puzzle-like mechanics regarding how you supply your planets. And it's extremely interesting, so I thought I would give 5 tips for new players in order to get you started. So the first tip is about support capacity. So if you double click your fleet, you can see which kind of support boats it has, and you can see this number here called support capacity. However, that does not mean the amount of ships that's in there, because every ship takes a different amount of support. For example, a beam ship takes 4, a missile boat takes 2, and a heavy gunship takes 8. So it's not if you have 483 that you can just build 483 ships. For example, with heavy gunships, you need to divide that number by 8. So if you want to order them, you just click on it. If you want to increase the support capacity, basically you need to go into designs, and well, let's say I would have a gunship. You can see, no, gunship bad. Let's say I have a battleship. It has here the support command, and it could have a support of 569. However, if I would add support command, then it would have 656. So by adding that, I can basically add more ships to my fleet to support the flagship. This immediately brings me to tip 2, which is about size. So for example, here I have a beam ship, and it costs 4, as we've seen in the previous tip. And that's because of its size, and the size kind of affects well, how efficient the whole thing is. So I can increase the size without increasing this, as everything will be kind of like scaled up. So if I would make it size 12, for example, look at the health and damage per second, it goes up a lot. However, the cost will also go up, because now it's 26k and it used to be 9k. So you can just kind of make them more efficient by increasing their size. Of course, that will also mean, let's say I make this 36 for fun, then if I want to order a beam ship, then the beam ship will also cost 36. So yeah, be careful with that. Don't just make humongous beam ships, because then you can't add them to your support fleet. But that's how you can easily make them more or less powerful depending on your needs. And tip number 3 is about food resources. So as you can see in my system here, this guy has a lot of food kind of needed because I want to level him up. And normally you basically colonize all these systems that have food and then let them transport it to this planet. However, there's another way of getting it. You can, for example, here build a mega farm, and it creates a basic unexportable food resource. And this one here, the hydrogenator, generates a basic unexportable water resource. So with this mega farm, I could build it somewhere. It's fairly expensive. It cost me 300k, and then it cost me 190k in maintenance. So it's actually a big part of my budget. So if I build that there, once that is finished, then suddenly I won't need this food resource anymore for level 3, because I'll be producing that myself. There we go. So now I built a mega farm and I started producing soylent teal. This might be food, and it indeed counts as food. So already I have one less thing to worry about for leveling up this planet. Of course, now I will get less money every 3 minutes, but yeah. So this is another way of getting food and or water. Tip number 4 is about managing your empire. So at some point your empire will get really big, and you'll have a lot of planets that will all be supplying each other, and you get all these resources flying around, and it can be kind of overwhelming at some point. Especially if you need to supply water to a planet far away and you don't know where it is. In the tutorial they teach you to do the following. So let's say I have this planet here, and it has a native fish, which is quite nice. It can't be exported, but at least it has food for itself. So if I would like to level this planet, I would only need water. I colonize this planet here, this water planet, and I can basically just drag it there. That's what they do in the tutorial. However, it can get quite how do you call it, overwhelming. If this planet was already supplying somewhere else, I would need to find maybe a water planet somewhere else, and then like this one, and then drag it all the way there, or change the export ways. So it would be a lot of work. So what you can also do is basically right click on this guy and say auto import to level 1. Then basically it will find the resources that it needs in order to go to level 1, and now it found this planet with water. If this one was already taken, it would find another planet with water that we already had. Then there's another way of doing it by going to the Planets tab, and this is one I really enjoy. It basically shows a hierarchical map of all your planets, and here is the planet we had, that's the one with fish, and then you can just find a planet and you can drag it to it. So then you can see now it will go to level 1. As you can see here as well, this planet doesn't really supply because it's not level 1 and it doesn't have resources. So I could just drag some water there and some food, and then it should start working. So if I unpause this, there, now it's working. So this planet tab is extremely handy in order to get a good overview of what's happening. For example, now it's still not exporting because it doesn't have 2 billion population yet, but it's growing, so that will be solved at some point. So this is a really good way of finding out where the troubles are and how to solve them. And tip number 5 is also related to the planet tab. So you can basically see here this hierarchy, which is quite useful. However, what's also very useful to know is where does all your income come from. As you can see here, I have a lot of planet upkeep, 1.4 million. And why is that? Well, you can actually click here, there's some tabs. And for example, income, you can see here that all these planets that have no level, they don't give me any income. They have a minus 80k upkeep. Income is very much linked to the population you have, so if I unpause the game, if I make the game a bit faster until this one gets to its 2 billion population, which is not yet. There, now it's 2 billion. Now it makes me 98k, 105k. So now suddenly I make more money. So this is a really good way of seeing where is stuff going wrong, why am I not making money, what should I do about it, can I level this planet, because for example here I have some food and water lying around, which means that I could make one planet level 1 and thus not pay 80k anymore. So this planet tab is just extremely useful. So these were the 5 tips for new players. I hope you found them useful. They're fairly basic, but yeah, they're all things that are kind of good to know and are not necessarily covered in the tutorial. So yeah, I hope you found it useful and see you next time.